Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to PJ and the Beard. This is our 19 conversation series. This would be conversation number 32. Conversation number 32. Yeah, just us again today. Maybe just us all week.
Literally just us right at the moment, right? I don't see anybody in their seats yet.
Yeah, nobody's front row seat. Nobody grabbed the front row this time.
They're going to need the usher with the flashlights to get down there today.
Right.
Tardy for the party.
Yeah. You took a day off and everybody forgot about you, you know.
I've said all the time, it takes one time and you break a tradition. When I was the interim mayor of our small town, and it was like the 104th Farmers Fair, in my little remarks that I had to give, I'm like, good for you all, because all it takes is 1 year for a tradition to stop. And so we just proved that point. We went 31 days, we took a day off, and everybody left.
So, what do we have going on today? I have a shipping notification from Fender that stuff will be here from Fender tomorrow. So if that gets here prior to this show, maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah. Do an unboxing. I think we kind of teased a little bit of what was in there, but not everything.
Right.
I'd like to have a little mystery.
This has sent me on a little bit of a rabbit hole too, that mag slide. So yeah. It's kind of like, what else is out there? I put out on our social media. I put out a question asking what other people use. A couple people piped up with that. Morning, Pete Hickson.
Hey.
Land down under.
Why is it the guy that's the furthest away gets here the earliest?
Yeah. So I started looking around a little bit, and I found on Etsy, there's a couple guys that are making slides that are just different, and I'm bored. So there was one guy that was selling these granite slides. So I don't know. I might have ordered, and it was a good price. It wasn't like outrageous.
Was it 3 a.m. and like when you ordered those Ginsu knives that one time?
Guitar Hack's in the house. What's up, Hack? How you doing?
Getting in on the front end today. Good to see
you.
Yeah,
a lot of times I catch the show that shall not be named.
Right.
With Guitar Hack, and I wasn't able to catch it today. The dog walk and some other things got in the way. A lot of times I can catch it right before I take her on a walk for a little bit. Which, I don't know about anybody else, but working at home means like working at a desk and staring at a computer. And if I don't get out and walk, it drives me crazy.
Right.
Sean Zimmerman.
There you go. Everyone's showing up now.
Yeah, it was great. So, clip of the day?
Yeah. It's more
this
Professor,
is going to make
Professor,
Professor
Beard's Bluesology some more, right?
This is going to make Hack sad. I hate to do it to you, Hack. It's going to make you sad. It's going to make everybody that plays out sad. So, I was looking through. We did Freddie King a couple days ago, so you can kind of figure who's picking the artist based on what's up there, right? If Pat picks it, it's Phil Kagi or Eric Johnson or somebody like that, and
some
shredder, some old blues guy. So we did Freddie King, and I was watching Freddie King, and he wears a strap over one shoulder. Albert Collins does the same thing. So I went to Albert Collins and I've been looking through. There's some other people I've been looking at for clips too. And I haven't found the clip of Albert Collins that I really wanted, because he does this thing. And if you watch any of his clips, you hear it a little bit, but sometimes you can really get a good clip of it. He does this thing where he sings while he plays. He sings the notes that he's playing. Mm. And he tunes his guitar. I don't know if you know this, Pat, but he tunes his guitar to like an F sharp minor.
Oh my, okay.
I think he tunes it to an F sharp minor. Then he capos it. Right. I'm not sure what Freddie's capo at, but it's pretty high.
It is. It was past 5, I think, at least, because I noted that when I walked.
Yeah, I want to say it looks like it's even up around 10 or something, right? Mm-hmm. So he has a pretty unique sound coming out of his telly. But then I found this clip, and I was like, this is the one, because those, if you played out or played in a band, or a phrase kept popping to mind, like when I'm playing with the blues guys that I would play with in the past, like this go get it, go get them kind of thing. Like, and then that also, like, I came to play feeling, which I know Hack knows what I'm talking about. And some of you, I don't know everybody else's playing history, but you probably know what I'm talking about. Like, there's just nights where you come to play. There's times where you show up and you plug your guitar in and you've come to play. Like, it's, let's go. And every once in a while, you get a night where the whole band has come to play.
Yeah.
And those are magical. Like, those are, sometimes at a jam, you get those situations where you leave and you feel so dirty you have to go home and take a shower. Like, I don't know what's happening on that stage, but
you're looking for the Gideon Bible in the nightstand and some sanitizer.
I need to go home and take a shower and wash that funk off of me because it was bad. But there's nights where everybody there just came to play. And I had one of those not too long ago at a blues jam. And anyway.
Well, maybe after the clip, we'll talk about thoughts about what inspires those moments. After the clip.
So let me pull up the clip. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Albert Collins. I hit mute and then I kept talking. Albert Collins and the Icebreakers. And I'm telling you right now,
I ain't drunk.
They came to play.
Look out!
We should stop it there, but I think we need to let it go another 30 seconds. Yeah. It doesn't get
tamer.
Right. It doesn't get tamer by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, the keyboard player gets even more
like animated.
Yeah. It just keeps building and building and building and building. And yeah. And you can tell by the thing that struck me is like the smiles on their faces, like that on the second guitar was Debbie Davies, I think is her name. So Albert Collins has had a couple people play with him, had a couple because he's, unfortunately passed away, but had a couple people play with him that have gone on to have their own careers. I believe that's Debbie Davies on stage with him. And, but when you look around that stage, the smiles that they're giving and the faces that they're making, you know those smiles when when somebody's playing and throwing down and you're looking over and going, yeah, that's it. So
yeah, it's not that cruise ship stage performer smile. That appears to be true joy.
Right. They're just Pete Hickson said that those are special gigs, and he's right. Like when that hits, when that happens, and sometimes it sneaks up out of nowhere, but when that happens and everything's just kind of hitting on it's not even a level of play. Like, this is kind of interesting. I was thinking about it earlier. It's not even a level of musicianship thing. Like, you don't have to be the greatest player or be on stage with all the greatest players in the world to have those moments happen. You have to be in a situation where everybody's listening and everybody's playing together and working off of each other, and you can have all levels of musical skill on stage and still have, what's that called, hitting the note, like still have that magic happen where you walk off feeling like a rock star.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I was thinking about that, first of all, I'm not sure I've played with a group that big, with 4 horn players, and I've had some pretty big group sizes on stage, but maybe not a whole horn section like that, maybe. But like for me personally, it's kind of like when everything sounds right to you, like when you don't have to struggle to find your tone, and just like, wow, that's great, And then I think that part is infectious a little bit, right? Like you're playing inspired and it sounds good, and it can go to a more of a global thing that, like, if the sometimes it is like if the PA is good and everybody's comfortable with their monitors and they can hear, there's not distractions, kind of greases the skids for that. But I agree with you. It doesn't have to be the virtuoso style playing of that organ player for it to happen. But for me, it's a lot of times when all those barriers are removed, like when you're just not struggling to find your tone, when you can hear yourself, even if you had a rough time getting the system set up, as long as when it's ready to go, you're comfortable. That, I think, that gives those moments a chance. And then once it starts, it's infectious, right? Like you're playing well, and they kind of put a smile on somebody's face, and then when it's their turn to take a solo, they're inspired by your playing, and so that's been my experience.
One of the last times I went to the Blues Jam, it was right after. It wasn't long after Mitch Ivanov passed away, and we've mentioned Mitch on the show before. He was a local legend. I mean, he was a huge man, a gentle giant, blues guy, well loved, and so they did this jam. Oh no, that wasn't it. So they
Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
Well, they did a jam where they had a whole bunch of people come and play, and that was great. But there was, I think, the Thursday night, because the Central Pennsylvania Blues Society does their jam on Thursday nights. So Thursday night after he passed away, I think it was. So this wasn't like the official sanctioned thing where a bunch of people came. This was that Thursday night, and I hardly get out to the jam anymore. But I was like, man, that we just lost Mitch, and I'm going to go down there and I'm going to play. Okay, I'm going to go to play. And a couple other guys from the old days came down, because the people that go to the jam has really changed over the last 10 to 15, 20 years. So there was like a time, there's different time periods where there was kind of the core group of people, whatever. So a couple of these old guys came down. Not that they're old, but guys from the old times. And they wanted to play, and they wanted to get up together and play. And there was a younger musician there who's a fantastic musician, but he has this thing, like, he doesn't get up on stage unless he can handpick the people that are up on stage with him. And you've people have maybe experienced that before.
Yeah.
And so he was like doing this hand picking thing and totally kind of messed them up, and they weren't going to be able to play together. And they had played in a blues band together for years, and they had played with Mitch and whatever. And it became a whole debacle. Like, they almost walked out. They were mad. Everybody was upset. And I was like, listen, let's just go up together. It was a guitar player and a bass player, and we'll grab a drummer. Let's just go up and instead of doing the full set, the 4-song set, whatever, stick around. We'll get them to squeeze us in for like 2 songs in between the other people that are playing. And we'll just tell them why, And they did. And I'll tell you, everybody on that stage, especially after all the drama and stuff, everybody on that stage was like, they were ready to throw down. That was the last, one of the last ones I can remember where it was like, man, let's just.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I went to the glass half full scenario in my scenario, but sometimes the glass half empty. People get up with maybe a little angst or a little something to prove, and they're letting off a little steam. It could go that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, because they drove an hour to be there. They were to the point. I mean, they were literally in the parking lot, keys in their hand, walking to their car, like, and mad, like dropping. You know, like the language was flying. There was, you know, it was close to. It could have came close to blows. I mean, it was a thing, and it took a bit to make it all right. But the music that happened because of that.
Yeah,
You know, there to play for an old friend and remember an old friend. And they threw down like it was a guy named Dr. Mo, picked some old songs that he would have done when he played, and it was tough. It was tough. Anyway, I'm ranting about it, but I just, as I was watching that clip, I'm like, man, these guys are getting after it. You know, like they're there to play, and I'm like, man, I want to be there to play. I want to get after it.
kind of what struck me about that clip when you sent that to me earlier this afternoon was I don't think that was a very spectacular place, right? I mean, it looked like low ceiling tiles and speakers flown from the ceiling like right above the stage. So it certainly wasn't like, it didn't appear to be like the ambiance and the mojo of the venue, right? They were pushing everything out to even, pardon the phrase, the little white hair, permed hair girls in the front were even like, oh, this is actually pretty good. And they could kind of see them like leaning in, you know, it was kind of, I think they brought it, and those people were responding to it because, you know, it didn't look like some club with a lot of vibe. And maybe I could be wrong. I have no idea where it was, but it just felt more like a county fair kind of, you know what I mean? Like, and the level
they weren't playing like Madison Square Garden, or they weren't playing like, was it Rock'n'Blast or whatever, you know, like one of the big.
Because, I mean, that's something, goodness gracious, you could uncork that at Radio City or somewhere, and it would be amazing. But just to think that level of playing happens in little small things. And I think it was part of your point in saying to Hack, you know, I'm not trying to pick a scab. We just can't all go out and play. But those are those magic moments, right? And they can happen anywhere.
Right. And I think everybody's missing them right now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, they can happen in somebody's basement.
Right.
You know.
So a lot of
in somebody's basement.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So Pete Hickson's like, you know, it's about being in the groove, and it's about emotion, and Hack's like it's being in the moment. All of those, you know, very, very, very true. And sometimes, you know, you just got to muscle through moments, and maybe you turn the thing around, or maybe it was just something that felt a little bit like work and was uninspired. That happens every once in a while. But, you know, Jason and I have been talking about this from our playing together in our church environment. We keep talking about like, what is that first Sunday going to be like? What is that set going to be like? And, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of anticipation and a lot of expression that's going to take place, right? And I feel like probably for Hack too, you know, when you get to get out and play and you go back to some of those clubs you've been playing, and I think, you know, for the people that are comfortable in going out, I think they're ready to go out. So
oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of I've come to play.
Right.
Who was it that was telling us about? I feel like somebody was telling you and I about how they played a room, and there was like, or maybe I was watching on YouTube. They played a room. There was one. Oh, it was ZZ Top. ZZ Top played a room. It was like that, like a bowling alley or a county fair or something. Yes. And there was like one dude there, and they played the whole show for that. Like they're like, no, don't leave. And then they played like their show for that guy. And apparently to this day, he still comes out to gigs, and I don't even think they know his name, but I think there's like a ZZ. Mike Morrison told me about a ZZ Top documentary on Netflix. Little band from Austin or something like that. There's a documentary on Netflix, and I watched that, and I kind of feel like that story was in that documentary. So if you haven't seen that, you're looking for something to do on Netflix other than binge watch, which I have yet to see, the Tiger King or whatever it is.
That's old news.
Yeah. That guy. Yeah, ZZ Top. He is that guy. Yeah. Brian Landreth in the house. He knows.
You got power back yet there, Uncle Brian? Are you having to cook vittles on the radiator of your truck?
He's fixing to warm up the grill.
Yeah, that's right. I'm fixing to go start the truck so I can cook something.
Shot an armadillo on the way out there.
Exactly. Yeah, we've all played empty houses. I'll tell you what, man. Like I played some county fairs and carnivals where it's a weird situation. My friend who was the drummer played in cover bands that had those spots, who had relationships with the 4 or 5 local county fairs. You know, you get paid as a band $400 or $500, and you get all the food you can eat, winning, right? So, but what would happen was a lot of people just pick their night that they're coming out to the fair, and they don't know what kind of music. And we played original music, you know, a lot of rockish kind of stuff. And every once in a while, you show up, and there's a bunch of blue-hairs with their, you know, mesh chairs set up, thinking it's going to be bluegrass night. You're like, oh boy. Can I preemptively apologize right now? Because this is not what you expect. So yeah, it is oftentimes funny when you show up and you're just like, I don't think they're going to get it. And you win some of them over, and some of them pick up their chairs and go get a hot dog and go home.
We played one of those places like from that movie Roadhouse one time, and the owner came up to us after the second set and asked us, as she said, "Can you boys play that country music, white boy?" Yeah. I don't really know play that country music, white boy, but you know,
right.
We'll give it our shot. We'll give her a shot there for you. We're fixing to play that when we go back up.
There you go. Hack or Uncle Brock could work that up. Play that country music, white boy. Yeah, blue hairs better be ready to rock. That's right. Because when it's on after this whole thing, it's going to be on like Donkey Kong. All right, moving on to something. Did I see you have a little something in your hand there?
Yeah, should we do pedal of the day?
Let's do it.
It's 2.
It's 2 for Monday.
2 for Monday.
More on Monday.
I'm gonna make my picture screen so I can hold these up to the camera one time. So let's hold these up. See if I can get them. There you go. So we got 2 here. One is the Keeley Electronics Dyno My Roto, which we got in for the Leslie series, and then we talked to Keeley and we got in the Dyna Trim for the Tremolo series, the fictitious Tremolo series that doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen. On the Dynamite Roto, you have a tri-chorus mode, a rotary mode, and a roto flange mode. And then you can see rate, depth, texture, and level. And I think they do a little bit different stuff depending on which one you're on. But I will say, as much as we love the rotary, the roto flange, the roto flange mode was interesting. And maybe... did we go through that when we did that pedal pop?
I think I played a little something. We kind of, when we did through that series, we did the standard paces. Here's what they do, and then if they did something unique, we did it towards the end. But back to that the nice thing about that was it did a good rotary sound. But you know, when we got into more of the full featured pedals that you could ramp up and ramp down and do a bunch of stuff, you know, you could either pick fast or slow, right? Because you're not going to ramp between the two,
right? So
when you have a pedal like that, Jason has said, I think in other episodes or whatever, maybe that's your foray into Leslie being able to have something on your board that maybe does something else. But that flange setting was pretty cool. The chorus flanger, is that what it was, or what was it called again?
Yeah, the Dynamite Roto. I mean, if you want to play with rotary but don't want to live there, or if you're not sure whether you like chorus or rotary or flanger, and it's not flanger, it's a roto flange. So picture like running a flange pedal into a Leslie.
Yeah, it's like, I can't figure out which hand to do this with. It's like you're spinning. Oh my goodness, you're spinning, and then something is just waving in front of it as you go. With a wow, wow.
All right, and so this one, let me make this big again so you can see the layout. So we have a dynamic rate, a dynamic depth, and a harmonic trim. All right, so you have your shape. And so you can see that there's various waveforms there. You have a level, a depth, and a rate. So pretty standard fare for a tremolo, right? You have your rate and your depth. When you have a level knob, we haven't really got into trem yet, but the level knob is nice because a lot of times tremolos have like a perceived volume loss. It's not necessarily that there is a volume loss, but you feel that way because half of your signal's dipping out. And then this dynamic rate and dynamic depth, depending on which one you have it on, will adjust to your playing. So if I hit harder, it will speed up. If I hit softer, it will slow down.
Okay.
Or if you have it on depth, if I hit harder, it will get a deeper throb to it. And if I hit lighter, it will have less of a throb to it. And then harmonic trem, which we've talked about a couple times, and I'm not going to try to explain that again.
We have to go back to what Wampler explained it to us, and I think Drew Swindle also explained it to us. We have to go back and refresh our memories when it comes time to talk about that. Yeah, and I love that pedal too because the it looks like a guitar grill cloth speaker amp grill cloth across the front. It's really cool. I don't remember. I think I heard that one before.
The Dynatron?
I feel like I played it. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I kind of feel like I'm feeling like none of the stuff were here. It is kind of cool how they gave it that amp look.
Yeah,
it's like an amp. Anyway, Keeley making good stuff.
Yep.
Always. So that's the two pedals of the day.
Right.
And then we were going to send it over to you, and we were like, could we get a guitar that... Do we have a guitar between us that maybe that, like, most people that would be in here wouldn't be that familiar with?
Right.
And that's all you.
Yeah, so a friend of mine that used to occupy the side of the stage that Jason does now, he had a knack for like boutique pedals before I really knew boutique pedals, if you will, and also we'd kind of bring some unique guitars. Like he had a Fender American Standard telly that he played all the time, but then one day he showed up with a Duesenberg, and I'm like, what is that? And he had the Star Player TV, which is more like a Les Paul size body, single F hole, had a humbucker in the bridge and a P90 in the neck, three-way selector, and like a Duesenberg, probably proprietary tremolo. And I'm going to show it in a second. But what had happened was I was perusing the interwebs. Oh my gosh, I don't know, maybe 9 years ago or so. And I found this. So this is a Duesenberg. It's a Carl Carlton. I always have to figure out how to turn away from that light there. So kind of cool appointments on the Duesenberg because, you know, there's also a car, the Duesenberg. So it's kind of got like Art Deco appointments in like the stair-stepped headstock. And if you can see, the tuner buttons are kind of the same way. And then you get to the sunburst finish with the very sparkly pickguard and other like kind of cool appointments, kind of like a automobile. Oh my gosh, like the doozy thing here, the metal single F hole. Definitely has a block in it because it's heavy. It
is a heavy guitar.
It is a heavy guitar, which is interesting about this. Like the first, so the Star Player TV and this, other than the size of the body, this is more of a 335 size, but exact same like colored finish, and I think it's a maple back. Was exactly like the Star Player that my friend had, except just smaller. And most of the Carl Carltons, who is like a German jazz player, not like a Larry Carlton, but a Carlton, usually has like a little badge right here that has a CC on it. This one does not, which I actually kind of like that. But you can see the tremolo there at the bottom.
So it's almost like Bigsby-ish or something.
Yeah, definitely. And another cool feature I liked about this guitar was it has its own version of like a strap lock. And I don't know if other guitars do this because I haven't had one like this. It unscrews and you have the little cap, put your strap on, screw it back down. And I didn't look up, I was telling Jason as we were about to go live, I should have looked up the specs because they're really meticulous about where they source their parts. You know, like the output jack is from a certain place. Even the three-way selector switch comes from a different place, even country of origin. And the other thing about this one is it has a plecked neck, which this was the first guitar I ever played with a plecked neck, and it felt great. You know, this guy was selling stuff because he was doing an addition on his house. I bought it off of eBay for what it is, a crazy price. And was waiting at home one day and I got a notification that I missed the UPS drop off. So I called them and said, where is the next stop for the driver? So I threw I don't know, she was probably my fiance at the time, said, you want to go take a ride? So I chased the UPS driver down at his next stop and got this guitar. I mean, the case is fantastic. I don't know if anybody has ever has ever played a McPherson acoustic, but like the case has like, I'm looking at it because it's right over there, like 8 latches, and it's a real super high-end case. Sometimes these guitars get knocked because some people want to claim they're made in Indonesia. I don't believe that. I've never seen actual proof of that. But it's kind of like, I look at Duesenberg like I look at PRS, right? Like maybe when PRS has started coming online, getting popular, you'd watch the Grammys and someone would be playing a Duesenberg. You'd watch something, or a PRS. That's what started to happen with Duesenberg, right? Mike Campbell from Tom Petty's band was playing it. I think John Mayer played one, and Joe Walsh was playing one. Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics has like a signature one. I mean, it just started exploding to where you started seeing more of these. And it's always kind of risky to play it, but I mean, it is a pretty diverse guitar because of the humbucker in the bridge and the P90 in the neck. And I just have it through the PV Classic 30, just on the clean channel. And it's probably not going to sound great, but you'll at least get an idea maybe what the pickups sound like. This is the bridge pickup. I swear I tuned it right before we went on. Okay, so then the middle kind of has that out of phase sound. And then the neck. So I love it. It's heavy, as Jason has played it a couple times. It's heavy, so which is probably the reason that this one gets a lot of the playtime, because it is a true hollow body. But yeah, so right now it must be hollow body week for me, because I grabbed this Duesenberg, I grabbed the Yamaha that I showed the other day, and I have the PRS picture to come on social media. So yeah, it's a great guitar. I love it.
While you were talking, I just pulled up.
Yeah. No, that's cool. They have some cool stuff that you'd like too, Jason. They have like a Resbro, which has a resonator, and they have like a lap steel, or like a lap guitar that has like the levers that make it sound like a pedal steel. So there's the Dave Stewart one, and so the Fullerton CC is a little bit like what this Carl Carlton is.
That one, the Julia is weird with that. The shape is cool, but the pickups have kind of a weird shape to it.
Yeah, they're really unique. I had another one that was supposed to be coming to me, but the guy had it wasn't Nashville, but a guy had the flood right before it happened. That was it, the Pomona. You would love the Pomona because of the levers, and you play it.
No, I don't know. If you put levers on them, I don't know what to do with that.
You push down on them. So really, I think they're really cool guitars. They have some pedals. The pedals are a little pricey. I think they're like in the $350 range.
Oh my!
Probs, and they make a couple amps. I think they've really expanded their line over the last decade.
I saw on that first page. I thought, does that look like a gold foil pickup?
Yeah, it used to. I'm telling you, like it used to be that pretty much the standard pickups were the ones in this, and then they started putting out different ones, and that one. Yeah,
I know that their tremolo system gets a lot of love. The Bigsby, it's not a Bigsby, but it's kind of like a Bigsby. Gets a lot of their tremolo. Yeah. Like there's guys that buy the Duesenberg tremolo to put on other guitars.
Yeah, because you can see it's branded with their D on it. I mean, it's their assuming proprietary one, but it comes down to the back. Yeah,
they almost look too classy. It's like some of the
well, that's why I think it I mean, it has nothing to do with the Duesenberg car, but I think they went for that, like kind of like back in the 50s and stuff when they were building futuristic looking cars. So it's kind of got that Art Deco car builder, but futuristic, but yet a wink and a nod to tradition. Anyway.
Yeah. I like that P90 humbucker thing they got going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still trying to find my way through P90s, but
but just a 3-way toggle and all the knobs. I mean, everything is rock solid on this thing.
Is that the smaller body? See, I like that smaller body double cut.
Yeah, the really popular one is the Star Player TV. That's the one that sort of probably was their bread and butter. And then you saw the Mike Campbell on there that sort of had like a wink and a nod to cars, like had the double racing stripe on it, and they're really cool. Let's see, Joey Landis' name's on there.
Joey Landreth,
Brian's really super distant second cousin's nephew's niece. And maybe not a lot of people that you might have heard of in some ways, because probably a lot of international artists. But, Mike Campbell has his own signature. Joe Walsh plays them. Dave Stewart. So they're cool guitars. I would probably, I don't know when I would have ever heard one in person if it wasn't for my friend Ken Geist, who jumps on this chat every once in a while. I don't know that I would have seen one. I might have seen them on the shows, but I don't even know locally where I could go and play one.
Right.
So yeah, I was
never seen one in a store.
What's that?
I've never seen one in a store.
No, and I never did ask my friend Ken how he even heard about them. But yeah, they're really cool. I'm
sorry. I think I've seen them listed in stores in some of the Canadian stores that I was looking at. Maybe they carry them up there, but
yeah, truth be told, I probably, for practicality's sake, would prefer to have a Star Player TV. But this one's really cool. Again, it's like. It's funny. I don't have a real Les Paul, but I have 2 single cut PRSs. One of them a hollow body, one not. I don't have a real ES335, but I've got the Yamaha SA2000, which is very similar to one, and then I have the Duesenberg. So it's kind of like, at least if I'm going to have copies, they're not Epiphone or Squire, but they're really fine instruments in their own right.
Yeah.
So I love it.
I think we did an episode on that guitar very early.
You should try this.
One of the in the very beginning of the channel, which some of those are a hoot to go back and watch. Which I'm sure the ones we're doing. Well, if we were doing episodes now, I'm sure the ones we were doing would be a hoot to go back and watch a couple years from now too. But so
yeah, we did that. So it was kind of funny. Like if you go back and go through, I think you have them listed in playlists. If you go through, you should try this. We kind of started the channel with the whole point was let's hang out and play and let's check out each other's gear, because we never really did that. So we created a little segment. And the dirty little secret is every guitar that we did, you should try this. That was mine. Jason played it live for the first time on the camera. And every other guitar of his I tried, I dorked around with it while he was setting up the cameras. So I never had a total cold, you should try this, I don't think. But Jason did. Both on the Yamaha, which we talked earlier, has super hot pickups. And really, these Duesenberg pickups are kind of hot, too.
Yeah, the Yamaha is hot. I mean, I remember that being a different beast. Nice guitar. Nice guitar.
It's hot, but not like gainy hot. It's just loud. So anyway. Yeah, so clip of the day, pedals of the day, a guitar of the day. Talked about what do we think inspires a good jam. Reminded once again, as we know, that Joey's not related to Brian. That's why I said a distant cousin, twice removed, sister's cousin, niece. But we'll have to get either Sonny or Joey on and just see if they know who you are. I did get to see Sonny Landreth live. So
I saw him live once.
Yeah.
He was playing with John Hyatt and opened for Buddy Guy and B.B. King.
He headlined at Ram's Head in Indianapolis. I just learned something the other day that may not mean anything to anybody in this chat, but maybe it will. So PRS just put out a segment where they were doing a little bit of the history of PRS. So Paul is in his home studio, and the guy who's the director of marketing, whose name escapes me, had these like scrapbooks that, in some senses, part of the things that were in the scrapbooks, Paul used to use when he would go sneak into the Cap Center at the time and see Carlos Santana or Ted Nugent. He just had some pictures of guitars he built. But what they started talking about was the original place, 33 West Street or 33 West Main Street in Annapolis. And I've seen Paul play with the Paul Reed Smith Band once at a clinic and once as a full performance at the Ram's Head in Annapolis. Well, what I didn't realize until I saw that show, Paul's original shop was in the upstairs of that building. Never knew that. Been in that building a dozen times and never knew that above me and to the right was where it all started for PRS.
Yeah, that's fine.
I didn't know it because it was the Ram's Head Tavern, and then they have Ram's Head, which is like a dinner theater style thing. But yeah, anyway, I was just like, and I was going to share that with you, Jason, but I don't know that you and I had gone to a show there together. I saw Eric Johnson there. I saw Robert Randolph there, Sonny Landreth, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. I mean, you're talking about 300 seats, maybe, at tables, low ceilings. Like,
how was Robert Randolph? I bet that was
it was ridiculous. It was so crazy. It was so crazy good. I just showed my parents. I don't even know why. My parents started asking me some questions about, because my grandfather's guitar, which I've shown, that was my mom's dad. So he loved country. He loved Chet Atkins. And so she grew up listening to proper country, if you will. And there's a lot of pedal steel and all of that. So she started asking about those things. And I said, well, I can't give you a real famous one off the top of my head, but let me just show you this guy, Robert Randolph. And so I think he was playing like Purple Haze and some other things, but then he did more of the churchy sound. And that was my goodness, that was such a spiritual moment with Robert Randolph and the family band that night at the Ram's Head.
Well, that's another group that comes to play, right? Like,
oh yeah. And then on this Experience Hendrix tour, the Slide Brothers have been on there. My goodness, there's like 3 guys playing like steel guitars, and they just trade off all night. So can't play it, but I love it.
See, it's funny because I like slide guitar. I like lap steel. Once you start putting pedals on it,
yeah,
that'll drive me out of a room.
Knee levers and
no, Robert Randolph can do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he has a pedal steel at all, but I mean, he could do that and I'd be all right. But that country pedal steel thing.
Yeah, he plays one that's a true pedal steel where I think he's doing the knee and everything else. I'll tell you,
you can't get with that.
I'll tell you what was wild was we do have an episode where I was in Nashville and properly stalked John Bollinger and hooked up with him down on Broadway. And that night he was playing with another band. Talk about a dude that can play pedal steel. I mean, he can play pedal steel. He played harmonica that night. He didn't play guitar at all. He played pedal steel and harmonica, sang backgrounds, but he's a really good pedal steel player. Good.
He's funny because when I first started watching him, I thought, I didn't get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I like, why are they having this dork kind of
right
do something? I mean, if you go back to some of the real early John Bollinger videos or whatever, because he's kind of quirky or whatever, and I didn't get it right away, and then I started like getting it. I'm like, wow, that guy can play.
He can, and I don't know if it's unfair, but I'm with you. I think that's when it kind of turned for me that I took him seriously, and I know he's not watching, although we've invited him to come on, and he did do an interview, Rig Rundown with me. But I kind of likened to it in the beginning, the early John Mayer with the faces. It's just like, because I'm so distracted by the faces, right? So almost his fanboy mentality when he would go talk to these people with the rig rundowns, and kind of a little bit of his quirkiness. It also reminded me of, I always joke when we're doing an interview with somebody like Josh Scott that I'm not Chris Farley's character on Saturday Night Live when he did his talk show, and he's like with Paul McCartney, and he's like, hey, remember that time you were with the Beatles? That was really cool, right? And so I felt like Bollinger had a few moments that felt like that to me. But yeah, his playing is fantastic, and his knowledge of guitars and amps and, who played what on what record and all of that. John Bollinger is an acquired taste, I think, at times. But man, I follow him on Instagram, and he's putting out clips of the day and going through his guitar collection. And, he's got quite a history of like being a producer and produced television shows and was the musical director. And
well, that's what I was going to say. A lot of those bands that he's interviewing and being fanboy with, kind of,
yeah,
those guys should be being fanboy with him.
Right.
Yeah. If you look at who he's played with, where he's played, what he's done, what he's recorded, it's impressive. I mean, he's not like some kid that hired to go out and do rig rundowns. I mean,
Right.
that guy's done it all.
Well, it's funny because when I did interview him on the street, and it was very loud because we were right by an open window at Alan Jackson's place where he was playing. But, he had recently probably interviewed Joe Bonamassa and Steve Lukather both. So we talked a little bit about that. And so I asked him the question. I said, who's the one person that you would love to do a rig rundown of somebody you haven't done yet? And he's like, well, from a gear perspective, it would be very boring because it's like a guitar, a cable, and an amp. But he goes, I would love to do Albert Lee. And then like 6 months later, he did a rig rundown with Albert Lee. And I sent him a message on Instagram. I said, I guess your dream came true. And he's like, yeah, it was great. He goes, Albert is such a huge influence on him. That was just kind of funny. And it really wasn't. I mean, it's just basically his Music Man signature guitar and I don't know, maybe some slapback delay or reverb. And that's basically it. So
he's cool.
So David Barber jumped in. Look up Luke Cyrus Getz on YouTube. Great lap still. Okay.
I'll just type that name over here so I don't forget to do that.
So Uncle Brian backing up about 6 comments ago. If Huggy Bear had a guitar, is that reference to the the gold pick guard on the Duesenberg? And actually, there's actual goldfish in here inside. It's nice.
Should have played the end of that clip.
Oh,
Albert,
it's funny.
Go watch that. Watch it to the end. Old man. I'm looking at the songs this guy does.
He's in Munich. Well, he's the same country of origin of our guitar of the day, Germany.
So, in a minute. All right. Well,
it was the one thing I failed to mention. It's a 2009. So when I acquired it, it was only a couple years old.
So I don't know, Pat. I mean, that might,
right?
Other than repping good old Kurt Magnan here.
He's on Instagram. He's like, I'm still making strings. I can make some for you.
Here, wait. Let's do this. I'm gonna do the solo layout. Can I get the shirt and string?
You might have to back up just a little bit. There you go.
All right.
You should have done the Uncle Sam point. Like, we want you.
Well, I'll screenshot that and put it on
Instagram
and tag him because I have sent him a message and asked. He had a thing on Facebook the other day where he was like, yeah, I'm still making strings. Like I'm in here I think he's in there doing it himself.
Right.
And I want to get him. So I sent him a message there on Facebook.
Right. Good day, Pete.
Emailed their email. I can't get any love.
I don't know. Does he make custom strings?
The website because we haven't a minute yet.
Right. I was saying good day to Pete. Pete's got to go. Good day, Pete.
See you, Pete. Thanks for popping in.
Yeah, I'll sure help you get out. Shine the light on the aisleway so you don't trip.
Here we go. Don't fear, we're still here. So I think, well, Dave, I'm going to say yes, he does because
there's a 9.5 right there.
9.5 to 46. So 9.5, 11.5, 16, 26, 36, 46. But I think you can do custom packs. If you look at that pedal show, the strings they sell with their pictures on it is the Kurt Magnan strings. You can do custom. Somewhere on here you can do we're looking at best selling, featured, new. Let's see. Buy a 6-pack, single strings, coated strings. I don't know where it is, but The tension chart. I'm pretty sure that you can like put your own custom packs together. But this was years ago. One of the guys in a local guitar store told me, try these out. And I really liked them. And that was back when I was gigging a lot and changing strings a lot. And
somewhere I have a set of Triple R branded strings. So you're talking about? Was it Randy? Right?
No, I don't think. I think it was. I think the first guy who told me about him was Mark Ficasio.
Okay.
You know Mark, right? He worked at like A&W for a while, and
yeah, Dave saying he's the 9.5 to 44. I thought the 46 was an interesting because nines are usually 9 to 42, so 9.5 to 46. But yeah, Magic Matt checking in.
Well, this is 9 to 46 up here.
Yeah, but he wants a 44. He wants a 9.5 to 44.
Oh, well.
Well, when we get him on, you can ask him.
Yeah.
Dave's asking us because Strymon was teasing a new release, and he said that we already talked about Strymon releasing the Compadre today. We did not.
No.
I've been pretty preoccupied today. I didn't even see that. I knew that they were teasing out some type of release of something. So I don't know. Do you want to go on that rabbit trail real quick, Jason? We got 8.5 minutes, or no? I mean, Strymon did give us. There you go, Compadre.
Boost dry level compression. Treble mid, boost EQ, treble mid fat, compression. So it's a compression pedal, I'm guessing?
And a boost. Dual compressor. Parallel compressor, $299.
Where do you see that?
David Barber, the source of all information. I'm looking at the chat, not the website.
A parallel compressor for $299.
For guys who barely use compression at all, I don't know that we need a dual one. And we still have to do our episode about the tone press.
Well, and that's kind of what I was going to say. So there you go, David Barber. If, you want the guy that kind of invented the parallel compression circuit to pedal, he's right there. And he'll sell you one for $159 or something like that.
Yeah, in a much smaller footprint.
In a much smaller footprint that can be used as a boost. Maybe not separately, but
right.
I don't know. There's Strymon guys that will put that on.
I mean, they make great stuff, right? I mean, you had the Lex. I know a lot of people who had the Big Sky and the delay. The name is escaping me right at the moment. That loved them. I think Strymon, for me, again, we've talked a lot of times that we're relatively simple. We buy multi things to do multiple things and kind of land on one. So, but Strymon certainly, I think, even though it's $300, they put a lot of features in it and a lot of options. And
what is that?
All the output jacks. I don't know.
You have an in and an out and a volume. Connected TRS expression pedal for full time volume pedal functionality. That's interesting. That's interesting. I like that. Connect to Strymon Mini so you can do your fave. The pedal that I really like that does that is the Vertex Boost pedal. So it's just a boost. It's a real clean boost. Robin Ford does a nice video on it. The thing they don't talk about with that pedal is it has an expression jack that turns your expression pedal into a volume pedal. And so it would... So you can put that anywhere. What I like about it is like you can put it anywhere in your chain. So you can put it after your overdrive pedals. So you have a volume knob before the overdrive pedal so you can roll back and clean up, or you put that after, and if you want to use an expression pedal, you hook it up, and then you can lower your volume without affecting the drive signal, which I think is really cool too. And I think Supro's Boost does that too. So I actually think that's really useful, like an expression jack for volume pedal on a boost pedal. I think that's That's a nice touch. I'll give him that. That's a nice touch.
Right.
Do you change your compression that much that you would need like a favorite switch and stuff? And you know that these knobs probably all have secondary features, right?
Maybe, right? Because part of what we've talked about with Drew Swindle and probably to a degree with David Barber is, some people like the real tight chicken picking and other people like it more for the sustain. So maybe you do have a favorite, something that's a little bit more squishy, really compresses for chicken picking, or something that you want like a slapback feel to it, or maybe you set it for a little longer when you just want the sustain. So maybe.
Well, there's your parallel compression, right? Dry, the amount of dry signals summed with your compression output.
Intellectual property of David Barber Inc.
How much did he say it was? $2.99.
$2.99. Yeah, that sounds about. Hey, that's cheap for a Strymon. Of course, that's not the full.
Well, we got another Strymon in not too long ago, right? For the tremolo. So we have the one that has like tremolo and reverb on it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sure would be great.
Yeah, it was cool to do that because you had a Lex already. So for the rotary, you already had what you probably would have asked them for, and then we went to them, and I think they helped us out with that a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Do some more twisting.
The Flint. Yeah,
the Flint is cool. Yeah, it's the Flint. We haven't. I'll be honest, I haven't plugged it in yet, but I'm sure it's great. I mean, that one gets a lot of love. That we were talking about what tremolo pedals will end up with, and I'm really like Swindler Effects Red Mountain, really. Right. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, Drew knocked it out of the park with that one, and the golf course he makes are great.
Mm-hmm.
And he still, I saw an Instagram update for those of you who heard the interview with him, and then he joined us live here talking about the switcher he's making, that he's getting closer to it being done. He showed a little video of that the other day.
Oh, really? Because he's been working on that for years.
Yeah. One-man operation.
Yeah, but I mean, like, his ability to program.
Yeah.
Like, his pedals, he's doing all the programming. So to get those like kind of secondary features and stuff like that, and the favorites, basically they have a built-in. You hold the one button down and it flips over to like another channel with your favorite saved on, so like a built-in favorite switch and stuff. Yeah. That programming that he's doing is really impressive when you look at for one guy making pedals. He's not huge. That's really cool. Like I'm surprised he hasn't sold some of. Like I'm surprised he hasn't sold some of that to other pedal manufacturers. Like to guys that can't do their own programming, but want to add some functionality to their pedal. I could see him being able to like sell some of that, like the chip and the program for the chip, if that makes sense.
I think that's a little bit like the same with Rick Matthews, right? Like he's writing his own code for that part of it. I think a lot of them agree on a design, get the circuit board in, but then they overlay that other stuff on there that they do themselves. Drew's a great guy, and this is not his full-time gig by any means. He's got a full-time job, but puts out great stuff, and super nice guy, super responsive.
I could see him collaborating with somebody in the future.
Yeah,
I could see somebody like doing a collaboration with him where he's working on because he even said that he takes kind of tried and true circuits that that circuit's going to sound good, and then approaches that from what extra functionality can I give that circuit through my ability to code and generate stuff like that. So he starts with a really good tremolo circuit that is kind of proven, and then he added tap tempo and the ability to save a favorite and the ramp up and the ramp down and like the different added all this stuff to it through that part of it. That's really cool.
So like say there's another pedal guy that really shined in the area of drives that's not really in the modulation game. Maybe if they paired up, perhaps.
I'm not going to tell you. That has to be the worst thing, to be a pedal builder, and people are always like, "You should do this."
You know, it would make your thing better if you did what I said.
Right? Yeah. I really like. Well, because guitar players are jerks. Like
they are, except us.
They put out the best pedal. They put out their pedal, and it's like, oh wow, you put years of development into that, and you've really thought it out, and you've tweaked over all these years, and everything's really great. If it just would have had a yellow knob on it, I would have bought it. You know what I mean?
This is a stupid analogy, but it reminds me when Steely Dan first got back together after that long hiatus, and I went to see them at Merriweather, and they had a guy playing the marimba who did like the 3 mallets in each hand and played like a 7-minute like marimba solo. It was spectacular. And my friend's younger brother, he looked over and he goes, I think he missed one, And so it's kind of like that. You build this great pedal and someone's like, that's really great. But if it just did just one more thing, it would be
then I would be interested in it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But great work otherwise, but you almost got there. So anyway,
I don't know. We're ranting about it, but
yeah.
No, I mean, well, what I said, I'm not going to tell David Barber. He's been doing pedals forever, and he knows that business better than us. But the one thing I did say to him was Shane Spiel lives in between us and him, and Shane was like, yeah, we should get everybody together and do something. I wonder if there's some kind of because Shane uses a pedal board with his cigar box guitars. I wonder if there's some kind of pedal that would
compress
something that they could do that would really accentuate or really how that be real well suited for the cigar box, because Shane's following is huge. There's a lot of guys really into that. That could be a big. They could come up with some special little kind of quirky circuit that they would use with the cigar box. That would be kind of cool. That'd be a cool collaboration.
Especially if the pedal looked like a cigar box. To scale, not an actual.
Maybe they build it in a cigar box.
I've got a few cigar boxes later in the house. I'll send them down to you, David. You can prototype them out because you don't have any other. You don't have any other enclosures. You might as well use cigar boxes. Yes.
Yeah, right? Yeah. They and they use some weird stuff. You'd have to talk to Shane. Some of them are just using regular pickups, right? But then there's some. Shane found these old headset receivers from radios back during World War II that when you pop them open, they have these little mini humbuckers in them, basically.
Right.
So they use all kinds of.
Yep.
How many cigar boxes guitarists are there out there in the world, and do they have PayPal accounts? Shane has
40,000. No, of the groups, but isn't one of the bigger groups that he's a part of.
Let's do this. Just. All right. Let me share it. We're going to share this, and then we're getting out of here. All right. So if I go to YouTube and type in Shane Spiel, here's his. He has 23.3 thousand followers on his YouTube channel.
But I think he's part of Facebook groups that have 40,000 plus.
Right. Well, then CB Giddy is one of the big suppliers. I know Shane works with him a lot. So parts and hardware, cigar boxes. Do they have pickups there? I bet somewhere on there's pickups.
Right, because it's the Giddy Bucker guitar pickup, right? So there has to be.
Chrome soap bar. You're getting a soap bar pickup for $14.99. Yeah, I'm thinking that they're not super high end pickups, and then these look like kind of more of the handmade stuff. The Delta Bucker 3-string maple cigar, dude. I'm telling you, it's like a whole David. It's like a whole movement. The cigar box guitar stuff. There's a lot of guys that are really into it. It would almost, what it would almost need to be? when we had Lawrence Petros on, he had that little kit.
Yeah. That he
Where
sold
he had
out.
all the stuff in the box, and they could make their own pedal. It's almost like you'd have to make a special kit, and then Shane would have to do a video putting the pedal together, and then people could buy the kit and put it together because there are a lot of DIY. Is that right? DIY?
Yeah.
DIY?
DIY.
Yeah. Anyway.
Lots of chatter. Brian Landers is suggesting that maybe you make an oil can pedal.
An oil can pedal. Yeah.
And David Barber's just wondering if the low rent prices of the pickups, do they have to stay in that realm? But
see, and this is why we shouldn't make suggestions. It's like no kits, right? That's about, but
no,
I
Brian,
have no idea. But that would be kind of a cool. Oh, I see what he's saying. But yeah, oil can tremolo.
there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe you could make the corn silo reverb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on a serious note, Brian Landers continuing to sing the praises of the Game Changer by Barber Electronics. He got one in and apparently is getting very familiar with it and loves it. David Barber out.
We are in no way suggesting anything, David Barber. We're just
No,
we're not pressuring you into nothing. I'm just happy you stopped by. And speaking of which, if Barber's leaving, then
what's the point in that?
yeah, I'm out. Peace out. No, I think 40 minutes. I didn't think we'd make an hour. I was getting ready to wrap it up, and somehow it's at an hour and 6 minutes, and I'm starving. So
It's part of my charm.
right, we certainly love hanging out with you guys, and appreciate everybody that stops in. So
as of now, you're stuck with the two of us for the week. We do have many irons in the fire. We're just trying to get synced up with people's schedules, but we love hanging out with you. We'll continue to bring you a clip of the day, pedal of the day, guitar of the day, as long as we don't run out. So we'll keep doing our best.
right, all right,
So I guess with that, right?
yeah.
Anything else? I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.
Coming to you from the bottom of the pool.
Do I?